All right, let's get right into it. Today, we're looking at a brand new suite of AI models from a company called Black Forest Labs. It's called FLUX.1 Kontext. Now, this is not just another image generator. Nope, this is a tool that's really designed to give creative professionals the kind of, well, surgical control they've basically been begging for.
You know the feeling, right? We have all been there. You've been tweaking an image for hours. It is almost perfect. All you want to do is say, change the color of a character's shirt. So you type in the new prompt, hit enter, and boom. It's a totally different character, the pose is wrong, the background's changed, everything's a mess. That frustration, that creative friction, is exactly what we're going to talk about today.
So here's how we're going to break it down. First, we'll talk about the core problem, what I'm calling the AI artist's headache. Then, we'll see how FLUX.1 Kontext tackles this with super simple instructions. We're going to peek under the hood at the tech that makes it so ridiculously fast, look at some real-world results, and finally, unpack their really smart strategy for getting this tool out to creators everywhere.
Yeah, for any professional who's actually trying to use AI in their day-to-day workflow, that initial wow factor, it wears off really, really fast. And you're left with some serious practical problems that just create this massive creative bottleneck.
And these points right here, man, they really nail the daily struggles. Identity drift is an absolute killer if you're doing something like a comic book. The unreliable text means you're always having to jump into another program to fix things later. But the biggest one, the most infuriating one, has got to be full scene regeneration. Asking for one tiny change and having the AI throw out everything you liked, it's not just inefficient, it just completely shatters your creative momentum.
And that is exactly where FLUX.1 Kontext comes into the picture. Look, this isn't just a slightly better version of what we already have. It represents a fundamental shift in how we actually talk to the AI. We're moving away from these long, descriptive paragraphs to just giving specific, simple commands.
And at its heart is this really simple idea: instruction-based editing. It is exactly what it sounds like. You don't have to describe the entire scene all over again. You just give the AI a direct order, just like you would a human assistant, focusing only on the one specific thing you want to change.
This comparison just illustrates the difference perfectly. The old way, it's like deciding to repaint a single wall and having your contractor demolish the entire house to do it. The new way, the FLUX.1 way, is like just handing a painter a can of red paint and saying, "See that car? Make it red." It's just intuitive, it's way more efficient, and, most importantly, it actually respects the work you've already put in.
So what does this all add up to? Well, it delivers three massive wins for professionals. First, the speed. It makes editing feel like a real-time interactive conversation. Second, the consistency. Your characters, your brand styles, they're safe. They stay the same. And third, that precision. It finally gives you the control you actually need to just get the job done right.
Okay, so how on earth does it get this fast and this precise? The secret sauce, as they say, is all in the underlying technology. So let's take a quick look at the engine that's making all of this possible.
Most of the models you've probably used are based on a technology called diffusion. Just think of it like a long, winding country road. It starts with a bunch of random noise and takes dozens of wandering, unpredictable steps to finally get to an image. FLUX.1, on the other hand, uses something called Rectified Flow. And this is like a straight superhighway. It calculates the most direct, most efficient path from that noise to your final image. And because that path is straight, it takes way, way fewer steps, and that is the key to its incredible speed.
And this engine is an absolute powerhouse. The base developer model, the one they've made openly available for non-commercial use, has a massive 12 billion parameters. Now, to put that in perspective, that's in the same league as some really large-scale models. But because of that rectified flow efficiency, they've been able to optimize it to run on consumer-grade hardware. And that is a huge deal for accessibility and innovation.
Okay, so the theory sounds amazing, but what about the results? Let's look at how FLUX.1 Kontext actually performs when you put it to the test in the real world.
So to prove just how good it is, Black Forest Labs actually created their own benchmark called KontextBench, and they focused it on the task that creators actually care about. The results are pretty staggering. FLUX.1 Kontext ranks #1 in both text editing and in character preservation, which are the exact two areas we pointed out earlier as being the biggest headaches.
And then there's the speed. In their tests, it's up to 8 times faster than some of the other big names out there. Now, that isn't just a small improvement. It's a fundamental change to your entire workflow. It's the difference between sending a job out and waiting versus editing a photo live, right on your screen.
But this right here might be the most compelling proof of all. The major European publisher Berta, they used these FLUX.1 models to produce their Lissy Pony comic series. And the result? A mind-blowing 50% reduction in creation time. I mean, think about that. When a technology can cut your production time in half, it's not just a tool anymore, it's a massive competitive advantage. It could totally change the economics of creating content.
Which brings us to the last piece of the puzzle. How is Black Forest Labs actually getting this incredible technology out into the world? Well, it turns out their business strategy is just as sophisticated as their tech.
They're using a really smart two-pronged approach. First, they're releasing that powerful developer model openly. This lets researchers and hobbyists go wild, experiment, build new tools, and really push the whole field forward. But for businesses, the ones who need that guaranteed performance and support, they offer Premium, Pro, and Max models through a commercial API. It's a brilliant way to build a community and a business all at the same time. And this table here just breaks it down nice and clean. The Dev model is for playing around for research. The Pro model is going to be the workhorse for daily production. It's the perfect balance of speed and quality. And then you have the Max model, and that's for those high-end jobs where you need the absolute best fidelity possible. A clear lineup, something for every type of user.
And they're also building in responsibility right from the start, which is huge. All the images that get generated through their official API include C2PA metadata. You can think of it like a permanent digital watermark that proves the image was made by an AI. That's a really crucial step for being transparent and helping to fight misinformation.
So, at the end of the day, FLUX.1 Kontext isn't trying to be the best at everything. Its strength, its entire strategy, is built on being the undisputed champion of in-context editing and consistency. It's doubling down on the things that professionals really truly depend on every single day.
And that leaves us with a really fascinating question to think about. When the gap between an idea in your head and the final image becomes this small, when editing an image is as fluid and interactive as just talking to an assistant, well, that doesn't just make us faster. It fundamentally changes the creative process itself, and it opens up possibilities that I think we're only just beginning to imagine.